What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 30. It is the April 21st edition of my Speak Now Pro Wrestling Show, AEW Dynamite edition. Guys, I am so happy to be on here once again, chatting with you guys all, especially given that AEW gave us plenty to talk about tonight. Today was a pretty exciting show. A lot went down that I can't wait to deep dive into and break down everything that happened. For those of you who are new to the show, welcome everyone. We do cover the show in chronological order, so I do talk about everything top to bottom. That is how we roll on this stream. Also, this is a very, very interactive stream, so throughout the entire night, I will be reading your guys' comments, your thoughts, your questions, all of that. So make sure to stay super active throughout this entire period on the chat. Plus, one last and final thing before I get going, we have a brand new Instagram account at WONF4W. I'm now helping run the Instagram account, and guys, I am following everybody back on that account. So if you follow at WONF4W, why is that so hard to say right now? Okay, if you guys follow, go ahead and I will follow you back. Obviously, I will do so after this stream. Once again, WONF4W. So make sure you guys go ahead and follow on that Instagram account. Plus, also, if you guys send in any super chats at any point throughout this entire stream, I very much appreciate it. Again, I am allowed to keep all of the money that I make from super chats. So if you guys send it in, help a girl out. I'm apartment hunting in Los Angeles. Things are expensive. Send in some super chats and I will read your comments, your questions, your statements, whatever it is that you want. I'll go ahead and read it on the air as long as it's not like something terrible or anything like that. So let's go ahead and jump into the show, guys. So overall, what did you guys think of AEW Dynamite as a whole? Let's kick things off there before we jump into our first segment. And I'm going to go ahead and start looking through some of your guys' comments and seeing what you guys are saying. Once again, send in a super chat if I do miss your comment. We have a comment from KW who says that tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite was great. Says that the title matches were the best. I thought that this show had a lot of good wrestling on it, so I definitely have to agree with that. Dagon S. Broad says AEW ruled. I feel spoiled as a wrestling fan that we get such consistently great shows each and every single week. But you know what, Dagon? It makes me happy. It makes me happy whenever a wrestling show is great, because coming on here and talking about whatever it is that happened on the show just makes it so much better than having to come on here and be like, I hated this show. I did not hate this show whatsoever. And Stephen Kramer does point out that he thinks that today was a pretty average episode of AEW. Don't blame you so much, just because, again, you know, every episode of AEW Dynamite has been solid for the most part. There are some, better episodes, better than some of the other ones. You can't stay at a certain momentum, I guess, all the time. But I think for the most part, they did a pretty good job of it. We have a comment from Sam3 who says that today's show was good, but didn't need Chris Jericho singing again. There was kind of a lot of singing throughout this show. Maybe twice. Maybe I'm exaggerating on how many times there was actual singing, but overall it was fun. Shane Burm says, hey, Denise, the show was so much fun. Theft for the Righteous says, I loved the Elite and Mox and Kingston angle. B-Mon points out 100 times better than Raw. Unfortunately, I could come on here and drink some water, not say a word, and it would probably be more interesting than this week's episode of Raw. And that is very unfortunate, because as you guys know, I enjoy recapping Raw when it's good. John Rosado says, very fun Dynamite tonight. I thought Tay Conti and Hikaru Shida killed it. I really wanted to see Ty Conti win tonight, and to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed, but we will talk about that once we actually get there. Lewis Rick says, good show in its own unique way, nothing groundbreaking, but I wasn't bored. Again, that's basically the best part in terms of actually not being bored. Walter Barker says, don't forget to hydrate, Denise. I know, so FYI, before we get into the actual conversation here, I did get my second vaccine shot. a couple of hours ago this morning. And so far I'm feeling great, but I am a little bit nervous because I know people were saying that they were getting side effects. And so I'm kind of like on the edge. I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, is it going to happen? If so, when is it going to happen? So I definitely got to stay hydrated throughout this entire stream. We have a comment from Lawson Leong who says, Jungle Boy versus Darby Allin will be a pay-per-view main event someday. Dude, my favorite thing about tonight's main event was the fact that it left you wanting more. It gave you just enough for it to be a very solid main event, but it also didn't give away everything. So if they do circle back someday to Darby versus Jungle Boy, which you know at some point they will have to circle back to that, you know it's going to be good. And to be honest, I want to see more of Jungle Boy versus Darby Allin. Now, I know I'm always saying that I don't like to see repeat matches constantly over and over again. But you know what? Let's just say TK decided to do this match again next week. I wouldn't be upset about it. But obviously that's not going to happen. That's okay because, you know, you don't want to kill things too fast. But I think for the most part, everybody here is enjoying the show. And we're going to go ahead and kind of just kick things off. All right, guys, here we go. So the opening segment of today was one of the matches that I was most looking forward to ahead of AEW Dynamite tonight, and it was Ricky Starks versus Hangman Page. Now, the reason that I was looking forward to this match was because these are two guys that you want to see have a match together. Both of these guys have had their own winning streak. Obviously, they mentioned the fact that Ricky Starks has won 10 straight matches. So you have that. And when the guy has a winning streak, you obviously want him to go after the guy who's holding the number one ranked spot. So I like the fact that this match was even set up in the first place. And one of the things that I also want to talk about before I get into the actual match itself, I love the fact that Taz was on commentary. And anytime that Taz is on commentary, he does a really great job. And my favorite thing about it is that even though Taz is a heel, he is great at calling it just like a real color guy would. And even though he wants Ricky Starks, obviously his guy, to get the win, he never gets in the way of actually calling the action. So I do want to point that out because I think he adds a lot whenever he does do commentary. But my favorite thing from the actual match, aside from the fact that both of these guys are two guys that I'm a big fan of, I have been on here each and every single week saying that I want to see Starks wrestle more singles matches because there is a lot of potential with Ricky Starks. Really, there is. But in terms of Hangman Page, we saw a lot of power from Hangman Page. I think there's been several matches where we get to see more of that fast-paced style of his. I think in this match, it was a little bit more of a slower pace, but I liked that. And I like that we got to see more of the power from Hangman Page. And one of the major things that I do want to talk about in regards to this match, because it ended up working into the finish itself, was that there was a spot where Ricky Starks landed awkwardly on his ankle. And to be completely honest with each and every single one of you guys here, I had no idea if this was an actual injury or if this was just, if he was just doing a really great job of selling it. Obviously, once we got to the finish, we knew that it was a play for the actual finish of this match. But Ricky Starks did such a phenomenal job of selling that ankle that for a good couple of minutes, I really thought that he was actually injured. He kept favoring it throughout the entire match. Obviously, that ended up causing him to tap out and end up losing this match. But he did a power bomb that he even did with he only did it really with one leg. And I liked the fact that he really, really did a great job of selling that ankle. Overall, I want to go ahead and talk about the direction that they're heading with Hangman Page. And one of the things that I said last week is that even though we all know that Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega is bound to happen somewhere down the line, I don't necessarily think that if they were to do Hangman Page and Kenny Omega right away, as in like the next couple of months, that he would actually be winning. So I know that Kenny Omega would be winning right now, so I don't want to see Hangman Page necessarily go after the title just yet. So I like that they are actually he's going into this feud with Team Taz, and I think that Team Taz and Hangman Page and anybody involved is definitely going to benefit from this storyline, from this feud. And already they announced that next week we are going to be seeing Hangman Page versus Brian Cage, and that is going to be awesome. So I cannot wait, and I like the direction in which they are headed with Hangman Page. So what did you guys think about this? What are your thoughts on Hangman Page in terms of the direction that they're heading with him? What are your thoughts on Team Taz? What are your thoughts on Ricky Starks, the match, all of that? Go ahead and send those in, and I will be reading some of your comments. But first and foremost, I am going to kick things off with our super chat from Dagon S. Broad. Thank you so much to Dagon, who says, let's get the super chat train rolling to support the hardest working lady in the biz. Wishing you good luck on your apartment hunting. Thank you so much, Dagon. Guys, I'm literally taking on like so many roles, especially right now with F4W. For those of you guys who do not know, I do have 3 shows now a week here on this channel. I'm on here on Tuesdays covering NXT, here on Wednesdays covering AEW Dynamite, and here on Fridays covering Smackdown. And then on top of that, I have the Twitch commercials, which you guys all see, all the Twitch homies see on Wrestling Observer Live. Plus, I'm now taking over the Instagram account and getting that going. And then I'm also going to be helping run the TikTok account, which Brian did mention is coming. He mentioned that today on Wrestling Observer Live, and that is coming as well. So definitely taking on as much as I possibly can, get those big bucks coming in. So thank you so much to Dagon for sending this in. But in terms of what you guys thought here, all right, we have a comment from Joseph who says, it feels like Adam Page will be feuding with Team Taz as the #1 ranked contender. He has Brian Cage next week. Exactly. So this is a direction in which they are heading in, and I think it is a good direction, especially because that's the thing with Team Taz, that there was a couple of weeks where really it was just promos after promos, and we weren't really getting to see the guys in action. And there's a lot that they can do, obviously, with Hangman Page. IBN 1989 points out that Ricky Starks did sell that ankle really, really well. So yeah, I have to 100% agree with IBM here. Same things with James Tibbs says, I'm still sold on that ankle being hurt. Dude, for reals, that's how good of a job he did with that. Joey Castro says, Taz is really great at pointing out the opponent's strengths and building them up. He's really good at knowing what to say in the different types of roles that he is in. So I have to agree with that as well. And Redmond Survivor points out that tonight's show is a great showcase for AEW's younger roster. I mean, just looking at the main event alone, Jungle Boy versus Darby Allin, that alone tells you everything about it being a great showcase for the young roster. I completely agree. Dylan McKenzie points out that he believes Ricky Starks has it all. Future world champ in my eyes. Dude, like, I feel like it will be a ways until he gets to that world championship level, but I have to say that yes, Ricky Starks is definitely one of those guys that from the very beginning that I started doing this podcast, I have never had anything negative to say whatsoever about Ricky Starks. Lawson says that he agrees with me. He feels it's too soon for Omega Page. I want to see Eddie Kingston. He says he wants to see Eddie Kingston versus Kenny Omega for the title, whether it be on pay-per-view or on a special Dynamite episode. That's the thing with Kenny Omega as champion. They really still have so much that they can do there. Like, this could be a very lengthy reign. And personally, you guys know this, I am a fan of those lengthy reigns. Like what they're doing with Roman Reigns, I am a fan of. So I want to see that with Kenny Omega. And I even want to see Kenny Omega John Moxley again. I wouldn't be opposed to that whatsoever. So thank you so much to Lawson for sending in that comment. And So we also have a super chat. Thank you so much to Mark. Mark, thank you. Mark says, tonight's episode was real fun overall, but we need more YouTube videos of Denise trying snacks from around the world. Your channel is killing it. Thank you so much, Mark. For those of you who do not know what Mark is talking about, on my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo, I did do a video of me trying snacks from the United Kingdom, and they are very different from American snacks, for those of you who do not know. And it was just kind of a very funny, silly video. So if you guys want to check it out, you guys can. It was one of my most loved videos. I would say that much about it. So thank you to Mark for sending in this super chat here. And okay, so we definitely, I think for the most part, everybody is liking the direction in which they are headed. This is from the MWN Network, says, Ricky Starks and Paige are truly the future of AEW. You can only think how great this match will be in a couple of years with big AEW gold on the line. The talent in AEW all have their own unique journey. Exactly. Like in a couple of years from now, you don't know what that landscape is going to look like. And all of those young talents that we're seeing right now, they have the potential to be big stars. And hopefully we get to see that for a lot of people. We get to see that. All right. So here we go, guys. So overall, great start, great solid start to AEW Dynamite. And I like the fact that right after this, we go into another match. We go into Trent versus Penta, El Cero Miedo. So in regards to this match, the first and foremost thing that I need to say is kudos. Kudos to Alex Abrahantes. Seriously, guys, Alex showed so much range that I didn't even expect out of him. I mean, ever since he's been doing this translation stuff, he has really been showing a lot of charisma, a lot of personality. He comes out here tonight, and not only when he does the translations, he's very, very good at his facials, his mannerism, his attitude, his presentation of how he is delivering the words that he is translating. And tonight, even on ringside, I mean, the guy was like coming across with all this swagger, all this confidence. You can tell he has been waiting for a moment like this in his life, and you can tell that he is having a really good time. So shout out to Alex on this, because when he first started doing the translation, I thought, oh, cool, he's doing a good job. But I don't think I expected him to be at this level where I am buying everything that he is doing. And I love the incorporation of having him at Penta's side. I love this. I love this. And let's see what else we have here. Everybody's pretty much saying that they think Alex is great, pointing out that he's a great heel manager for Penta. I like that too. Sean Izarani points out that Alex is cool as AF now. But yes, Mama Sue is gonna kill Alex because he did pull the your mama sucks line today. But overall, in regards to the actual match, what I did like about this is that Trent, his first match back, he looked great, guys. He really, really, really did look great. We had a really nice slinging DDT from Trent that led into Penta getting the destroyer right off of that. I really liked that little sequence. One of the only things that I do have to know in regards to commentary, you know, earlier we were talking about Taz really knowing what to say and how to put talent over. One of the things that I do have to say, and I have to point this out, was that I necessarily wasn't a big fan of Jim Ross basically kind of saying that he didn't really agree with Trent doing these high-flying moves because it didn't lead to a pin. I didn't like that just because, you know, obviously Trent's going into this as a babyface, and you don't want to do that to your babyface. So I did think that that probably wasn't like the best thing to say on commentary, but whatever. It didn't hurt the match whatsoever. I'm just nitpicking. And, again, I liked all of the work that both of these guys did during this match on the outside of the ring in terms of, actually on the ring apron, excuse me. When they were on the ring apron, we saw a lot of chops back and forth and then a really nice pile driver. And for me, this didn't really feel, even though we got like those really momentous spots that we tend to see in these matches with Penta, it didn't feel like your typical Penta match. To me, it felt a little bit more different. Again, a little bit more slower pace, kind of similar to what I said with the opening match. But I like this because it showed a little bit more range for Penta, and I enjoyed that. It made me enjoy both of these guys more. As in, I'm already a fan of Penta, but it made me enjoy him in a different way. And it made me that much more of a bigger fan of Trent. And lastly, so this match Alex ends up being involved in this match, which again, I wasn't expecting either. So I like this. It made sense. Alex basically gets the mic. He starts telling Trent that he sucks, his friend sucks, that his mom sucks. And obviously that's going to trigger him. But in the end, for the actual finish, the referee gets distracted and Alex ends up hitting Trent in the head with the microphone. And that is how Penta ends up hitting him with the package pile driver and wins the match. So I like the fact that they're utilizing Alex in this way. Again, it was unexpected. You think he's just going to be a mouthpiece, but he turns out to be a little bit more than that. So let's see what you guys are saying. We have a super chat. Thank you so much to Vash TS1984. Thank you so much, Vash. Vash says, Alex as Penta's anger translator is hilarious. He is, and he's keeping, again, the key thing about him being this translator for him is that he's keeping the delivery. He's not just saying, oh, well, Penta said this, this, and that. No, he's delivering it like if these are words coming out of his own brain, like this, like if this is the promo that he's cutting it the exact same way with the exact same anger that, you know, obviously the wrestler would. So I do like a lot of what Alex is bringing to this. And Jake Larsons points out that sometimes he forgets that Trent is a really good wrestler. I think that today was a really, really nice reminder. Very nice reminder. And let's see what else we have here. Lawson also points out that he thinks that Trent is a great wrestler on the underrated side. And he was out for 6 months, guys. So I do think that this is a really nice reminder where, like, even if you were already a fan of Trent, you maybe had forgotten, but this was a good reminder of that. And let's see what else we got here. All right. All right. Everybody's talking about JR. Oh, man, maybe I shouldn't have started that topic, but there are some times where you kind of do have to bring it up. Brandon points out that he would like to see MVP versus Alex sign him up. And our Rig says, I was annoyed with them talking about the question mark at the end of Trent's name. You know what? I think I muted that part out. Sometimes I mute commentary. That's just something that happens naturally. You know, so much is being said on a show. Sometimes you just mute certain things up. So I didn't really get annoyed by that just because I kind of zoned that out a little bit. And lastly, all right, we have a comment from John who says that he thinks JR does that to protect his credibility as the voice of the show. If something happens that is nonsensical, he looks silly if he doesn't point it out in some way. I could see that, but again, I would probably just pick different moments. And Moist points out that Moxley and Kingston versus the Bucks is going to be incredible. All right, guys, here we go. So good stuff overall there. After this, we went into the Jim Ross sit-down interview with the Pinnacle. And this is where things are going to start to get a little interesting, because I think that in terms of the direction that we're heading with the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle, obviously May 5th, we're getting blood and guts. There was some things that I liked about tonight, and there were some things that I didn't like. So in focusing with this, they do this segment, and, you know, they're backstage with Jim Ross. The Pinnacle's all dressed really great in their suits. They look phenomenal. Good for them. And basically, MJF gets a new scarf. He shares his thoughts on what Jericho said on his promo from a couple weeks ago. And basically says that Jericho takes responsibility for the popularity of the guys that he works with. He talks about him working with A and B wrestlers and talent and all of that. So it's your typical MJF promo in the terms that it's good and he's going to say a lot of great stuff. So in terms of what you would expect from an MJF promo, that's what it was. That's what it was. But my favorite part, though, really, my favorite part of this was when he said that he is a mark, because Jericho called him a mark when he did this promo like 2 weeks ago or so. And he basically calls MJF a mark. MJF says that, yes, he is a mark, but that he is not a mark for him, but that he is a mark for his spot. And that one line, seriously, for me, that one line was what made this entire backstage segment. I really, really liked that. But now here's my question to all of you guys in the chat here. And this is where I think things get a little fuzzy. So does the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle feel forced? Does this feel forced? I know we talked about it feeling rushed. Does it feel rushed? Does it feel forced? Send in your comments on this, because I was putting some thought into this. And in terms of when the Pinnacle first came about, when they first started, when they first developed, the swerve here, the swerve that between Inner Circle and MJF, when we had all of that go down, I thought that it was a really, really strong start for the Pinnacle. It made them look badass. They came out the following week and MJF cut this promo of a lifetime. All of that was great. But since then, there hasn't been much for me to necessarily say that the Pinnacle is a force to be reckoned with. And the reason for that is that anytime the Pinnacle gets one over on the Inner Circle always manages to end up getting the best of them in turn. So for me, it kind of feels like we need to see the Pinnacle look stronger. They need to look more, they just need to look stronger than the Inner Circle, in my opinion. So that's where I'm at. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Again, you don't have to agree with me. I welcome all thoughts and opinions on this show, but it's just one of those things that I started thinking about throughout this, because even though I'm looking forward to Blood and Guts, I kind of feel like it does feel a little forced. And the reason for that is I'm going to skip over, guys, to the segment with the Inner Circle and Tony Schiavone, because they come out and basically Jericho sings a show tune about his little, and I quote, jerk off friend. He sings his little song. He starts off making a lot of jokes and then he gets really angry. But the problem for me here is that I can't buy the Inner Circle at this moment in time as baby faces. I don't, and I get it. That's what they are now. All of that is fine and dandy. But for me, it's not hitting home. For me, that portion of that feels very, very rushed, because the Inner Circle went from the top heels in AEW to essentially to pandering baby faces, and there was nothing in between that. So if you stop and think about it, Sammy really was the only babyface in the Inner Circle, because he was the one that saw from the beginning all the BS of MJF. He saw through all of that. So I can't at this moment buy the Inner Circle in its entirety as babyfaces. So for me, this kind of feels a little forced. I'm looking forward to the Blood and Guts match. That I'm 100% looking forward to. I'm excited for it and all of that. But everything leading up to it now has kind of staled out. It's kind of fizzled out a little bit. It started really strong, but since then, it's just been a lot of talking, and no action. I mean, besides the brawl, don't get me wrong, because that brawl was awesome. I did like that backstage brawl that they did. That was awesome. I kind of would like to see maybe a little bit more. I don't know. Let's see. What are you guys saying? Because I need some help from the people, from all of you in deciphering all of this. All right. So I got lots of comments. I'm going to head back and rewind a little bit in terms of what you guys are saying here. And also, if you have a great comment, send it in a super chat and I will read it. This comment is from Mary. Mary says, I heard MJF did a great promo and Jericho not so much. MJF's promo was great. Again, a lot of, MJF is known for a lot of those awesome one-liners. His delivery is fantastic. The storytelling in which everything connects when he's talking, everything makes sense. The big disconnection for me with the Jericho promo was more that he started off being this funny ha-ha guy, again, pandering babyface, and then he goes into, well, now I'm really, really angry. So there was this really huge disconnection for me on that end of things, and that is more of where I would probably find the criticism in there. And Michael Donald says, yes, it's the same thing as Inner Circle versus the Bucks and company. IBN says, the match doesn't feel rushed or forced at all. I think this is the most logical step, especially after the bathroom beatdown. R. Riggs says, rushed but not forced. But I think it really needs more time to get to the blood and guts match. Yeah, I do think so too. And this was one of the questions that was asked of me. Somebody asked me this in a super chat last week too, asking me if I felt that it was rushed. And given the fact that May 5th is literally down the corner, it felt like they had to get there. So because of the date, it really, really did speed things up a lot. And let's see what else we get here. Dom G says, Pinnacle has to win blood and guts, otherwise the stable is over before it really starts. Again, because the Inner Circle keeps getting the best of them. Like, the Pinnacle, I think, again, started very strong, but it's kind of gone downhill just a little bit. Brant Grant says, not forced. If it was the QT family versus Cody's nightmare, then it would be forced. Oh, I'll have thoughts about that once we actually get to that. Lawson says, I don't think it feels rushed or forced. I do think it's a mistake to only have one match on that show, though. Oh, man. I don't know. I have to think about that a little bit. And let's see. Labor Day says, Pinnacle versus Inner Circle was booked backwards. They had the blow off 2 weeks ago. There were some things that maybe you can switch around, but I wouldn't say it was booked backwards entirely. Stephen Creamer has a very strong opinion about the Inner Circle promo, saying it was absolutely pathetic. See, I love this, guys. Everybody has different opinions on this. This is great. And okay, I'm going to scroll through your comments some more. I think sorry guys, it's kind of hard to see what everybody's saying, but I'm going through the rest of them. And Redmond points out that yes, they promised this blood and guts match free on TV last year, and they were never going to put it on pay-per-view. That was always the plan. Yes. And Bloody Blue says, I would have given the build more time and saved some of it for later stages. Definitely rushed, but maybe there's another swerve or some plan we don't know about yet. Blood and Guts won't be the end. Again, I'm really, really looking forward to Blood and Guts, guys. Seriously. Andrew Contreras says, who wins at Blood and Guts? Honestly, right now, at this moment, I would want to see the Pinnacle win at Blood and Guts. I don't want to see the Inner Circle win. I want to see something new. I would go with the Pinnacle, but that's where I'm at right at this moment. That's where I'm at. All right, guys, and let's see what else we have here before we jump into everything else. All right. Once again, if you guys have something amazing that you want read on the air and you're like, dang it, Denise, you haven't seen my comment, girl, send it in a super chat and it will definitely be read. Once again, F4W does allow me to keep 100% of the proceeds from super chats after YouTube takes their cut, and they do take a cut of my money, which I don't appreciate, but it is what it is. All right. Rorb says, Jericho's pineapple joke is bad. Rorb, I actually thought it was funny the first week. Second week, too much. Third week, too much. However many weeks, too much. The first week, I did ha-ha a little bit, but I tend to ha-ha at a lot of random stuff. So there you go. And let's see what else we have here. Labor Day wants to go back to the fact that this was booked backwards and says, no, it was booked backwards. The faces humiliate the heels, typically at the end of the feud or as the penultimate step. But 2 weeks ago, Inner Circle flushed the heels down the toilet, literally. Well, guys, do you agree? Do you disagree? Send in these comments. Send these in. Jake Larson says, anything named Blood and Guts and Deathmatch, Denise is all in. 100%. 100%. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into this. And thank you for Sean Harrington giving me a timeline here, who says this wasn't 2 weeks ago, this was 3 weeks ago. Guys, everything's a blur to me at this point. It's all a blur. I just remember things happen. All right, here we go. Let's jump into this next match because I cannot wait to talk about this next match. And it was Ty Conti versus Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. And before we get to that, we have a super chat from Psycho Fox. Thank you so much to Psycho Fox, who says, "Boo YouTube for taking a cut of this message." Dang right. Boo YouTube for that. But thank you so much to F4W for letting me keep the rest of it. And thank you to Psycho Fox for sending in this super chat. All right, guys. So here we go. Ty Conti versus Hikaru Shida. Wow. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this. I don't even know where to begin, but since KW did send in this comment saying Ty should have won, I guess I will start there. Okay. Given that obviously we didn't know the finish, that we didn't know Britt Baker was going to come out and all of that. Okay, ignoring that for a second, yes, I do think that Ty Conti should have won this. I wanted her to win this. I was invested in her winning this. And just the little glimmer of hope that she could possibly be winning this match is kind of what kept me really invested in this match. It was a good match. Hikaru Shida was very, very aggressive. She did a lot to try to keep Ty Conti down, but Ty Conti did not make it easy for her. She came out there and she brought it all. She gave it all that she could, and I wanted to see her win. And here's the thing is that Shida is a great, great talent. We all know that. But the thing is that unfortunately, at the start of her reign, they really made her seem like unimportant. They really didn't give her much. A part of her reign was very dull. So unfortunately, it made me, the viewer, not be interested in her as a champion. So that is why I wanted to see somebody else, especially Ty Conti, who I think has a lot of great potential. And that is why I wanted to see somebody else get this title, because I did feel that, unfortunately, because of the way Shida's reign was treated for the most part of it, it kind of feels like we're still there, like we're still stuck there. I almost feel like if somebody else, whether it be Ty Conti, whether it be Britt Baker, whether it be Thunder Rosa, anybody being champion would sort of refreshen the division and make it feel like, okay, here we go. We're getting this ball rolling. And that's no fault of Shida. It was really just the fact that they made her seem like they just didn't really utilize her as champion for a good chunk of that time. And obviously, you know, they have been turning the tables on all of that. But for me, it might just be a little too late for all of that. We have another super chat from my good friend, Matthew Makovsky, who says, these ladies absolutely killed it, and now I freaking can't wait for Shida versus Baker. Baker gonna take that title at Double or Nothing. I do want to see Britt Baker take the title. I really, really do, and I already made my stance as to why. I really just do think that, unfortunately, it's time to sort of just kick it up, do something different. So yeah, I have to agree with this. Matthew, thank you so much for sending in the super chat. So what are you guys all saying here? Let's see. Send in your comments. We have a comment from Cody who says, Shida versus Britt Baker is gonna be epic. It really is. I agree with that as well. I've become a bigger fan of Britt Baker as the times and the weeks and the months have progressed. So I do agree with all of that. Lawson points out that it's good that people wanted Ty to win, but it's too soon. She got a good one yesterday, and Shida's been a great champion for a year, including through the pandemic. Again, this is no fault of Shida. It was just the way that she was presented as champion. I didn't have faith that AEW would actually pull the plug in making Ty Conti champion, but I wanted it to happen. But my hopeful side wanted it. My smart my smart in quotation marks, my smart side wanted my smart side expected to see Shida walk out as champion and retain her belt. Justin Martin says this was a fantastic match. Shida and Conti more than lived up to the hype. Ty will be a champion one day, just not today. Yeah, exactly. Just not today, but I hope that they do it at some point. But obviously, it's looking like it's going to Britt Baker, which I do not mind whatsoever. We have a super chat from Labor Day who says, good luck on the apartment hunting. Awesome show, Denise. Thank you so much to Labor Day. BTW, for those of you guys who have ever done apartment hunting, oh man, it is crazy. My head hurts all the time, but what can you do? You got to live somewhere, right? But thank you so much to Labor Days. BTW, guys, friendly reminder. I know we're in the middle of this, but again, do not forget to come into the show Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If you're a fan of NXT, we've been having a great time since NXT moved to Tuesdays talking about the show. Obviously here Wednesdays immediately following AEW Dynamite, and then Fridays for Smackdown and all of that. So I'm trying to get these numbers for these weekly podcasts to go up so my ratings could go up and I won't bury my own ratings. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying here. All right. Joseph Boza says, I wanted to Ty Conti to win. People just want Dr. Britt Baker to win because of the fact that she was the first woman to sign with AEW. I don't think that's necessarily just the reason, though. I think she's proven herself time in and time out. She has proven herself. Let's not forget, that awesome match that she had with Thunder Rosa. I mean, her bloody face is going to go down in history for AEW Dynamite. When you go back in a couple of years from now and you look at the history of AEW Dynamite, people are going to be talking about that match. People are going to be talking about that image. I will never forget what it felt like to come onto the stream immediately after that match, because everybody and their mothers were very, very thrilled after that match. So yeah. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to add about this. Okay, so I already mentioned that I liked all the aggression that we saw in this match. Oh, I did want to mention that the witch's shot from Shida to Ty Conti really looked brutal. I almost didn't think that she was going to bounce back from that. I love the near falls because, again, I kept thinking to myself, are they going to pull the plug? Are they not going to pull the plug? And again, Shida did everything possible to keep her down. Ty Conti gave her a lot to work with, etc. But great match, really loved it. And yeah, it looks like we're gonna be seeing Shida Britt Baker, and I do hope to see Britt Baker come out as champion. And let's see, we have a comment from Dixon who says, it's mad the improvement in such a short time. These ladies have been killing it in 2021. I wish Shida could be champ until crowds are back. She deserves it. And they could always circle back to that. And it's like, I kind of feel like that for a lot of champions, like even on the WWE side, like there's so many people where I'm like, oh man, like especially Drew McIntyre. I'm like, oh, I wish he really would have, been able to have this run as champion, with a crowd, because again, you dream of these moments. Obviously as talent, you dream of the moments of when you're going to be champion, you get the belt, and then you have no audience. Like that sucks, it sucks for everybody all around, honestly. And let's see what else we have here. This is a comment from Steven who says, having Conti win on first shot was not the right story. It just means that there's more satisfying when Conti wins it off as a big heel. Yeah, I can't say that I disagree with that. I can't say I disagree with that. Bloody Blue says, it's really impressive how quick AEW has turned its women division around given the circumstances. A lot of upsides. Now add Mickie James to it and I'll be over the moon. Yeah, and you want to know why? I feel because people were making noise about it. People on social media were talking about it. And if you're putting on a product and you want to get people's eyeballs, you're going to listen to the people. You're going to see what are the people saying. And the people were saying, give the women a chance. Give the women a proper opportunity. Give Shida as champion the proper opportunity. And slowly but surely, they got that ball rolling. And now there's actually good things to say in regards to the AEW women's division. And in terms of Mickie James, so because I haven't talked about that on this podcast, I will talk about it right now. So Mickie James, I cannot believe that she was released from WWE because I really do think that one of the major things that is lacking right now, both in AEW and WWE, is having a lot of veteran women that can help the younger talent. And I have to agree with Mickie James. She has been very outspoken about the fact that, ageism and all of that, people being more, unfortunately, cutting women's careers a lot shorter than the men's. And I would like AEW to break the mold, break that pattern, and bring somebody in like Mickie James. And I know that, again, I know they have Serena Deeb and all of that, but I think having somebody like Mickie James work with the younger talent, work with, your Ty Contis, with your Jade Cargills, with your Red Velvets, with your you name it. She can come in and she can help all of these young talents. And she is one of those people that can still go. And she was actually a star. Mickie James was a star, and she knows what to do. So I do think that Mickie James should be one of those people that TK signs. Bring her in. And yeah, I think everybody here, Redman Survivor says, after listening to Chelsea Green with SRS, I see her coming to AEW. Seems she wants to shine on a bigger platform than, say, Impact. I still kind of think she might be heading towards the Impact direction. I know she said in that interview that she had talked to pretty much everybody, but I do think that we will be seeing her in Impact Wrestling. But again, we'll find out once time goes by. And lastly, let's go ahead and see. Okay, here we go. So we have a comment from Nail Lock who says no more WWE signings. And I agree. I don't think that they should be signing everybody right off the bat, but there are people that I think AEW can definitely benefit from, can definitely utilize, and there are those people. I'll name you those people. Samoa Joe. If AEW were not to didn't sign Samoa Joe, I would find it very, very shocking. Really, I would. And I do think the same thing with Mickie James, because there is a spot for her that they can actually use her in, which I just mentioned now. And Billy and Peyton, because again, they need to keep developing that women's roster. And I do think that they could be essential to the women's roster there. So those would be it in terms of the people that were released, where I would say, look, if you're going to be calling people in, getting people in here, I would go with those names for sure. And let's see what else we have here. This is a comment from, let's see. I'm trying to see what you guys are sending in here. I had a comment that I wanted to read and then I lost it here. But Dagon says, if AEW brings in anybody, it should be Samoa Joe and Mickie James. I would say that those are definitely probably the strongest ones. Again, a lot of people are saying that they can definitely see Samoa Joe as well and all of that. XX Files says, is that a nicotine patch on your shoulder? No, I do not smoke, ladies and gentlemen. I am not a smoker. I got my second vaccine today. So what you're seeing on my shoulder is a Band-Aid because I forgot to take it off. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, guys. Let's see. We have after this, we had a promo from Miro, and Miro basically kind of does a follow-up to what he did last week. Last week, he cut a promo saying that he's coming for the gold, kind of does this again, basically says he's looking for vindication, doesn't care who he has to face, whether it be Kenny Omega or, listen to this, Emo Face Paint's daddy. Emo Face Paint Daddy. I'm sorry, but from now until the end of time, I am always going to remember Sting now. I'm always going to associate Sting with Emo Face Daddy. I thought that little line was pretty hilarious. He just basically says, what champion do I beat first? All right, cool. Another promo from Miro. Thumbs up. Nothing negative or anything to say other than that I really loved the Emo Face Paint Daddy line. I really liked all of that. All right, guys, so let's jump into, I already spoke about the Inner Circle. Let's jump into this next segment. So this next segment, unfortunately, I could care less about. I'll just be real. I wasn't that big of a fan of this. This is probably my least favorite portion of the show. If you like this, please send in comments as to why you did, because I want this to be fair and I want to give some positive critique. But honestly, I just wasn't interested. Billy Gunn versus QT Marshall. I had very little interest, in heading into this match. I didn't think the match itself was anything interesting. I thought it was a little bit boring. Gun Club gets involved. I liked that. They end up brawling. With Nick and Aaron to the outside. That was perfectly fine. One of the things I did like though was seeing Anthony Ogogo coming out and punching Billy Gunn right in the stomach. I like the fact that they're continuing this, story that they're telling with Ogogo. They're really building up that punch, since his in-ring debut on AEW Dynamite last week to now, this week as well. So I like that they're continuing all of that. Him punching Billy Gunn ended up helping QT get the win because QT ends up hitting the diamond cutter on Billy Gunn, and that is how he ends up winning this match. Dustin comes out and attacks QT Marshall. He hits Nick Camarota with his chair. I love this. Like in a matter of seconds, they made Nick look absolutely like a beast, which I loved that little moment. And that was kind of it, guys. That was pretty much it. Like there wasn't anything here where I'm going to come out and say, oh, I'm really excited about this. It really was kind of just there for me. Kind of just felt like something filler. It was filler. And Sean says the caveman guy who ate the chair was pretty good. Nick, yeah, exactly. That was a good moment for that. That was a really good moment. Labor Day says every single thing related to Cody has sucked for more than a year now. Awful creative. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the whole Shaq thing. I've said my piece about that. The payoff though was fine. Him going through the table and all of that was fine. But again, the build to all of this was just there. Our Rig says, I forgot about this match. The only thing I liked was the no sell at the end. Michael Donald says Billy looks great, but zero interest in this angle. QT is boring as a heel. Yeah, unfortunately, there wasn't anything in this that where you're like, oh, I'm going to be excited about it. Again, it seems to me that the only thing people were excited about was Nick taking that chair shot and essentially him looking like a monster because it did not faze him whatsoever. We have a comment from Bloody Blues who says this match was meant to advance the storyline and they achieved that. The match itself was nothing to write home about, but I thought it was fine. I'm surprised how good the QT stuff works for me. Dude, that's awesome. I'm glad it's working for you. Again, like I want to know what people are liking from this, what people don't like. That's cool. It helps me go into, next week with a new perspective. Hassan says QT is so charismatic. Nightlock says QT is boring as a heel and as a face. He might be a good teacher for the wrestlers, but he doesn't deserve TV time. I wouldn't say he doesn't deserve TV time. I would say it's fine. It's just not, the story isn't there yet. It's just not there yet, but it could be there. It's just not there just yet. Patrick Nguyen, I have to read this comment because I do agree with this. He says, I wish AEW continued Cody feuding with Penta instead. Yes, 150,000% yes, because I remember when they had their match and they did all of this, stuff. It was like for 2 weeks, really. I liked it. It felt exciting. I remember coming on here onto the show and everybody was like, oh yeah, I'm feeling this. This feels cool. This feels fresh. It was right after Revolution. Everybody was liking that. And then it kind of just ended. I do think that if, they could have gotten a little creative with that and maybe done a little bit more. So yeah, I do agree with this comment from Patrick Nguyen. We have another super chat from my good friend, Chris Ludek. Thank you so much to Chris, who says, Cody winning the TNT title to me didn't serve much purpose, and he hasn't done anything memorable since his feud with MJF, in my opinion. I mean, obviously the stuff with Brody Lee was fantastic. That was all. I loved all of that. But other than that, there really hasn't been much. There's been some good moments here and there, but in terms of it being solid all the way through, probably not. But thank you so much to Chris Ludek for sending in the super chat. I truly, truly appreciate it. Okay. All right, I'm going to go through some more comments here. And again, if you guys have any brilliant comments and you're like, dang it, Denise, I put a lot of thought into this comment and you didn't read it, send it in a super chat and I will definitely read it as well. And lastly, I'll go ahead and read this comment from Benzo, who says, this is a great story to supercharge the young guys' storyline so they can have a good reason to fight each other. Hopefully we do get to see a little bit more of that as well. All right, guys, here we go. Let's go ahead and jump into this segment that we had, which I half loved and half disliked. All right, so I'm curious to see what you guys all have to say here. Also, before I jump into this next segment, heads up, guys, if you're watching the show live or you're watching the show on the replay, listening to it on the audio version, whatever it is, make some time to head over to the YouTube channel here on F4W Online. Head on over to the YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe. Turn on your notifications. You can also become a member and get some exclusive bonus content. If you haven't done that, do it. It's awesome. You guys already love the stuff that's on this channel. You can love it even more. Also, for those who are watching the stream, please do not forget to give this video a like and drop a comment on the actual comment section. It really helps, drive those analytics for YouTube and for more people to come into the show. You could be like, good job, Denise. Bad job, Denise. Whatever it is you felt for the week, leave a comment. I did try to go through the comments and read a few, and sometimes I respond to people. So if you guys do want to share a comment, you guys are more than welcome to do so, again, in the comment section of this YouTube video after we are done streaming live. All right, but we had this backstage segment between the Bucks, the Good Brothers, Kenny, and Don Callis. So they come out, guys, and they are looking... I don't even know what stores these guys shop at. No idea what stores they are going to, because they were dressed very, very interestingly. I don't even know what to call the clothes that they were wearing, but you know what? I liked it. Not because I liked the style, but I liked that it made them stand out, okay? I didn't like the style, but I like that it stands out. It makes them it makes you want to hate them just a little bit more because, they're the bad guys and they're coming out here with this bougie, high-end, out of the runway clothes. So yeah, we have a super chat from Mad Mark. Thank you so much to Mad Mark, who says, I have nothing brilliant to say. I'm just proud of you for working so hard. I find your energy to be amazing. I have no idea how you do it. Thank you so much, Mad Mark. I really, really thank you for this very, very kind super chat. Again, I feel like once people check out my show and watch it, I feel like you guys have a good time. So it's very nice to see new faces and returning faces as well. Thank you so much. Shout out to Mad Mark for sending in this super chat. All right. IBN says, the elite shops at Douches R Us. I don't know what to say about that. All right. It's kind of funny, though. I have to agree. It's kind of funny. All right. So they come out. They're in their, they're in their trailer and they're in their, in their space. And at some point, they're talking about how they started all of this. They started, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, that they're the guys. They have the cool shirts and all of this stuff, right? At some point, they start singing the Three's Company song. They got a nice tune going. You're really feeling the rhythm. All of this, Kenny starts cutting a promo, right? But just then you hear this horn honking, and I swear to God, I literally thought that this was happening outside in my neighborhood, because as Kenny was talking, I put my head down to send a tweet on my phone because I was watching on my laptop. So I put my head down and I heard the horn and I was like, all right, cool. Someone's honking their horn outside my house. No big deal. And then I realized, all right, this is not happening here. It's happening on the actual screen. And what it ended up being was John Moxley and Eddie Kingston inside of a truck. And I like this. I liked it. They get their truck and they run it straight into that trailer. And then they get off of it. They go in there, they're looking for all of these guys. They're looking for the Bucks, the Good Brothers, Kenny, all of these guys, right? And they're not there. They're gone. They suddenly disappeared. And, they're out there trashing it, breaking windows, etc. I mentioned that I loved and disliked this. So I loved how they did this in terms of, I like how they started off, talking in the trailer, and then all of a sudden you have the truck running into it. I liked all of that. The only thing that I didn't like is that when they got back there, nobody was there. I would have actually liked for somebody to be there and them to be like, what the hell you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Going to some brawl. I don't know. I thought that could have been visually more pleasing, more fun, more cool. So I was kind of a little bit bummed out that they kind of just disappeared like a magic act, because it just didn't connect with me on that end. that's pretty much it. I just would have liked the ending, I think, to probably be a little bit different. So let's go ahead and read. We have a super chat. Wow, thank you so much to Sean Irani. And I hope I'm saying your last name correctly, but thank you so much for sending in this awesome super chat. He says, the Elite are basically a violent person of the Backstreet Boys now, and I'm all about it. Oh my God. I was never going to put the Elite together with the Backstreet Boys, but as a Backstreet Boys girl, I grew up a Backstreet Boys fan. I gotta say, I do not mind this comparison whatsoever because it's all about the Backstreet Boys. And if you are an NSYNC fan, you are not cool. It is all about the Backstreet Boys because they are the ultimate boy bands, the greatest boy bands of all time. And I will fight anybody over that, okay? It's not NSYNC. It's not the Joe Bros. No, it's not One Direction. It is the Backstreet Boys. All right, now this is a wrestling show, so I'm going to continue on, but thank you so much to Sean for sending in this super chat. All right, so what did you guys think of all of this? Cody Santello points out that they are the Backseat Boys. That's pretty funny. And let's see. Christopher Marino says, I was surprised they didn't show the Elite in another place laughing at them because they tricked them. Yeah, that would be kind of funny to do something like that. And Brandon says, I guess Moxley and Kingston couldn't stand the Elite's clothing and singing. I mean, really. Dylan McKenzie says, this seems very Attitude Era to me. IDK if I like that or not. I mean, I like that. I'll just sign up and say that I like that type of stuff. So that's my opinion on that. And all right, I'm gonna try to get some more comments in here, but I think for the most part, Michael Donald says Denise cutting a promo. Dang right, I'll pull those out every now and then. Dagana's Broad says Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC blood and guts match. I'll tell you what, my friend, Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC in a blood and guts match would get over 10 million views. 10 million. Yeah, they would get over 10 million in the ratings for sure. They would break that's where Tony Khan needs to invest in right there. Backstreet Boys NSYNC in a blood and guts match. Everybody would watch that. I'll promise you that. All right. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and move on. So after this, here we go. I need to talk about this because this is important to talk about. So one of the things that I tweeted out today is that this Sunday we are having Rebellion, Rich Swan versus Kenny Omega, title versus title. This isn't something that happens every day here. So I was kind of a little bit bummed out in the fact that I thought creatively they could have done a lot more to really make this match feel important with Rich Swan. I don't think that AEW completely utilized from a creative standpoint this feud and what it can tell and the story that it can tell on the AEW side of things. I think that they should have made a bigger deal about the fact that this is a title versus title match. I think that given that they have guys like Brian Cage and Sting, because you can say these are guys that have held the Impact title. You can even put something like that, put that over, make it a big deal that this match is even happening. So I will have to say that I do think, creatively speaking, they could have done a lot more to really push that match this Sunday at Rebellion. I really think that they could have done a lot more for this. So that's where I'm at in that point. And I did have to make a mention to that because it felt somewhat noticeable in my opinion. We have another super chat. Thank you so much to Mr. EMJ who says, Ty Conti, wrestler of the night, showed why she should have a big push. Best women's match I've seen in a long time. Dude, I don't know if you caught the part where I was talking about this match, but I completely Agree. Ty Conti, look, she looks great. I don't have to tell you guys that. You all have eyes. She looks great. She's pretty solid in the ring. I think that for the most part, there's a lot that could definitely be done with her. She could definitely be utilized, and if given the right opportunity, she could be one of those women that could become the face of the AEW women's division within, a couple of months, years, however much time you want to put up there. But yeah, I do agree. I think Ty definitely stood out tonight. She was one of those people that if you're going to look at the card as a whole, who stood out to you? I would name you people that stood out to me: Ricky Starks, Hangman Page, Ty Conti, Jungle Boy, Darby, and you guys can name a couple more. But seriously, I would have to agree with this comment. Thank you so much to Mr. EMJ for sending in this super chat. We also have another super chat. Thank you so much to Mike NY, Mike New York, who says, or I think that's what the NY stands for. He says, the Bucks remind me of 3 Count. Yeah, yes and no, but I like the comparison, and now you're just putting in the 3 Count song inside my head, and that is why I'm like suddenly taken aback. You made my brain go in a different direction here, but thank you so much to Mike NY for sending in this super chat. All right, and let's see what you guys are saying here. So we have a lot of comments about all of this, and this is a comment from Sean who says, Impact is more entertaining than Raw is. Lawson says, I think TK said it's Impact's job to promote their own show, and I agree. It's not AEW's job to do Impact's promotion. AEW already helped them by loaning them talent. Yeah, but like I said, creatively speaking, they could have done a lot more to make this feel more important, and hence AEW, their champion, would look like a bigger deal by promoting this match and the fact that, he's out there being the belt collector. So I do think that it would have benefited AEW as well as Impact Wrestling, as well as Kenny Omega and all of that. WT says, yeah, bad form by AEW. They should have involved Impact Rich Swan. I do think so. Again, this match is a big deal. Title versus title. It's a big deal. Let's promote it like that. Keep it going, And Andrew Contreras says AEW should have promoted the match more because their title being defended Sunday. Exactly. And Michael says AEW should have had Rich Swan on there to promote their match. They are lacking with showcasing Impact talent. And obviously we knew this from the start, that obviously they already have enough of their talent. I'm not saying that they need to bring in the Impact roster, because that's not what I think they should do. I just think that given that this match is a big deal, that is what I'm saying. Like, they should have done more with that end of things. All right. And, okay, I think for the most part, I got most of these comments in, and let's go ahead and move on. So BTW, next week, matches announced include Brian Cage versus Hangman Page, which I, for one, am freaking stoked about. I cannot wait to see that. Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander. That should be fun. The Young Bucks versus the Seidel brothers. That should be fun as well. Nightmare Family versus the Factory. Inner Circle and the Pinnacle have a parlay. So that's happening. That's all that's been announced for next week. So again, I will be back here chatting about all of that. So make sure you guys come in, and it'll be a great time and all of that. And all right, guys, let's go ahead and to jump into this next match. We have 2 more matches to discuss before we wrap this show up. And we have Christian Cage versus Powerhouse Hobbs. And I gotta say, I really, really enjoyed this entire match. I enjoyed this segment. I loved everything that this match was. So I was excited for this match for the most part, because this is definitely the kind of role that I want to see Christian Cage in AEW, to help work with the younger talent, help grow the younger talent, and all of that. So this was a big match for Powerhouse Hobbs, and that is why I think that this worked out in terms of, it was a big deal for Hobbs Christian Cage and came in and said, this is what I can help with. And you saw both of those things come to fruition in this match. You can tell that throughout this match, Cage was teaching Hobbs a lot during this match, teaching him how to slow down, teaching him how to make every move count, especially given that his name is Powerhouse Hobbs for a reason. You want his moves to come across as impactful. You want them to mean something. And that is what Christian Cage was helping him out here with this match. So I liked all of that. And even though Hobbs lost, it didn't hurt him whatsoever because, again, Hobbs took most of this match. Hobbs looked impressive in this match, and Christian Cage was selling the hell out of all of everything that Hobbs was doing. And obviously, given that Christian is the veteran, he's the more experienced one, of course he is going to be winning this match. So I liked everything that they did in this. I thought it worked in everybody's favor. And after this, we saw Ricky Starks come out after the match, and he's checking on Hobbs, and you kind of see that the eye connection between Starks and Christian. So I cannot wait. I want to see Starks versus Christian Cage, and that will be good. So again, I like all of this. What are your guys' thoughts on all of this? All right, here we go. And this comment is from Dixon, who says, Christian has a very solid match. In other news, water is wet. Yeah, exactly. Obviously, Christian is going to have a great match with whomever he's in the ring with. But again, here he was just helping, a younger talent, which is great. And Redmond Survivor points out that he thinks Hobbs has some amazing facial expressions. That's something to note. Michael Donald says Hobbs is very underrated. He looked great and perfect. He looked great and perfect fit for Cage. Yeah, exactly. And R. Riggs says that this match made Hobbs look really good, and Christian as the vet who knows how to win. Cody points out that Christian is picking up those wins. Dagon says Cage versus Page, not in a steel cage. Oh man, all these rhymings and similar names, I really have to use first and last names now, because if not, it just kind of tricks my mind. Okay, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the main event, ladies and gentlemen. Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy for the TNT Championship. And this is another match that I really, really enjoyed. Again, at the top of the stream, somebody mentioned that AEW was really, showcasing a lot of their younger talent. That's something that they do really good. And this is a perfect example of that. Having Jungle Boy versus Darby is a great example of two young guys in a main event. This was great. One of the things that I specifically liked about this is that this match had a very serious feel to it, because, Jungle Boy is a very, very fun character. Obviously, Jurassic Express, they're fun, right? You come out, you're going to have a good time. But when Jungle Boy came out, you took him more seriously because the way that this match was presented, it felt like you should take Jungle Boy more seriously. Given the match that he had with Dax a couple of weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago, I forgot what the timeline is here. But the fact that they even went back and, reminded the audience of that, I liked that, because after that match, I wanted to see more. It left me wanting more. And so we finally go into this match with Darby, and I'm really looking forward to it. And there were some great moments from this. We saw an awesome Tiger suplex from Jungle Boy, a fun stunner from Darby Allin. Jungle Boy did two tope suicidas, and then he did an outside flip to Darby. One of my favorite spots of this actual match, though, was the coffin drop from Darby to Jungle Boy, because Jungle Boy was on the ring apron, and that looked pretty wild, because obviously Darby kind of has to really align himself perfectly to actually get Jungle Boy. So I really liked that, and I like the fact that they worked this match like they would a wrestling match in any place. So I liked this, and I really do think that they gave us just enough to put forth a really good, solid main event, but also leave us wanting a little bit more, as in I want to see this match again down the line at some point. And after this, we see Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky come out and attack Darby. Lance Archer comes out to help. And that is pretty much how the show closes out. So Darby has been having really great, solid main event matches. Again, last week we were talking about that awesome match with Matt Hardy. He has something totally different tonight with Jungle Boy. But again, very, very awesome match. It really builds him as a stronger champion, and I really, really enjoy seeing that out of Darby as TNT champion. But there you guys go. That was AEW Dynamite. Let's see what you guys are saying here before we move on. Let's see. We have a lot of comments here. Lawson says that Jungle Boy is the future of AEW. 100% yes. Mike New York says, where's Money Matt? He's recovering after that whole match that he had with Darby. I mean, they put his body through hell there. So he deserves a night off. He deserves a little rest there. Dogon says, Lucha Stars versus Sting. Please book it, Tony. Sure. The dinosaur and the icon. Or the dinosaur and the sad emo face paint daddy, whatever it is that Miro called him. That was hilarious. All right, and let's go ahead and see what else you guys are saying here. All right, cool. I think I got pretty much all of the major key points from you guys here. If I missed anything, this is your last chance. You guys can go ahead and send in any last comments, and I will read those. But before I go, just friendly reminder, guys, come on into the show. Enjoy yourself. You guys could be like Brandon Bailey, who is 4 a.m. in the UK and he's drunk. I don't care if you're drunk, half asleep, fully awake, doing the laundry. Come on in, join the show. Whatever it is you're doing, we'll have a good time, everybody. So thank you so much to everybody who tuned in for today's show. I hope you guys come back next week. Again, we will have another great time talking about AEW Dynamite. Plus, friendly reminder, I'll see you guys on Tuesdays for NXT chat. I'll see you guys Wednesdays, AEW Dynamite, and I'll see you guys Friday for Friday Night Smackdown. We have one more super chat. Here we go. We're going to close it out with Vash TS 1984, who says, Paige versus Cage in a cage with Paige holding Cage outside in a rage. And boy, oh boy, is that a tongue twister. I dare you guys to say that 5 times in a row, and I bet you guys can't. Thank you so much to Vash TS for sending in this super chat. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's show. Do not forget to leave a comment, drop a like on this video, and I will see you guys on Friday for my SmackDown review, and I'll see you guys next week as well. Bye, everyone. Take care. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.